together with Kazakhstan, there was the other for Central Asian Republic with a lot of initiative, with a lot of strategy. It was one country with the commitment to have a public transportation of electric, to develop a new manufacturing plan of electrical cars. So a lot of things was changing in this last 2-3 years. And for this reason, we thought there was a good opportunity to be here at the COP and to discuss about another aspect, that is the accounting with different perspective. We know that at the COP, the accounting means the national inventory because it's what is mandatory under the UNFCCC and the convention. But at the same time, we believe that it's possible to think in direction of the evolution of the accounting, from the mandatory accounting to the voluntary accounting, and then the carbon footprint. For this reason, we will have today the pleasure to have Ayman Yesekina, is the director of the Greenhouse Gas Inventory Department of Zaisul Damu. And we will have later by remote Yohan Choi, senior researcher of KITEC in Korea. And we will join us later Belinda Matters, Chief Science and Advisor Officer of Toy2 Environcar, and is the program operator operating New Zealand. Unfortunately, she is busy because last week changed the government and the new Minister of Environment asked to have a meeting today at this time. So she will jump later for the final part of her presentation. So Ayman, now the floor is yours to explain the state of arts in direction of what is the mandatory part of an inventory that is a greenhouse gas national inventory. Thank you, Ayman. You have the microphone there? Or if you like to go there.
Thank you, Daniel. Dear participants, first of all, let me thank organizers of this side event for the opportunity to speak here today in behalf of joint stock company Rasul Damu. Our company is subordinated company of Ministry of Ecology and Natural Resources of Republic of Kazakhstan and the state operator of carbon trade system. As you know, Kazakhstan is an active participant of international agreement. So we ratified United Nations Framework Convention, Kyoto Protocol, and Paris Agreement. And in the frame of Paris Agreement, we intend to reduce greenhouse gas emissions for 15% for the level of 1990 by 2030. And our president in this year approved the strategy to achieving carbon neutrality of Republic of Kazakhstan by 2060. Our main obligation is to present in the UNFCCC Secretariat of annually results of national inventory system. In this slide, I want to show you our structure in the Republic of Kazakhstan. The main national body is Ministry of Ecology and Natural Resources of Republic of Kazakhstan, and Rasul Damu is working body for implementing the function of assessment greenhouse gas emissions and removals, and also to implement another main steps of functioning of national inventory system. Developing our national inventory system, Ministry of Ecology and Natural Resources approved intergovernmental working group. This working group consists of representative of state bodies and organizations who involved in the provides of raw data for assessment greenhouse gas emissions, and removals, and also for approving quality assurance, quality control plan, and also for approving our coefficients for assessment greenhouse gas emissions. And also we have a legislative base. The first, it's a UNCCC Convention, Paris Agreement, our environmental code, and the Order of Minister of Ecology, Geology, and Natural Resources in the 2022, number 46 on approval of the rules of control, completeness, transparency, reliability of the state inventory emissions of the Republic of Kazakhstan. So in this slide, there are some structure, and in the first, we gathered the first meeting on working body. Then we collecting the raw dates. Then we calculate the emissions and removals. Then we fill the common reporting format tables. Also, we parallel develop and prepare the national inventory report. Then it will the processes of verification of our nearby by the institutions and working group representative. Then we approval our NIR through the working group and presented our results to the Secretariat or in the UNFCCC. After this, ERT, it's a expert review team. They provide our NIR and review our national inventory report. Also, they develop the report about the review. And now in 2023, we have review from in the September of this year, and ERT expert review team now discuss our answers for the recommendations, and they prepare the report by the results of review. The legislative basis, it is our environmental code, as I mentioned, and the rules. In the rules, there is chapter 2. It's the main chapter which contains all processes of functioning of our national inventory system. So in the frame of this rule, we have 4 meetings of working group. And the next main step is a presentation of initial date as a second meeting. Then we develop and testing our national report and common report format tables. Then we coordinate the national report and present it in the UNFCCC Secretariat. So if in this slide, I show you some information about the contents of meetings. The first meetings, the goals of first meeting is the approval of meeting schedule and approval of quality assurance and quality control plan. At the second meeting, we discuss our needed raw dates. Then we distribute the submission or providing these days between the members of working group. And the third meeting, we discuss our presented initial date. And for meeting, it is no later than 10 April. We approval our national inventory report, and then we submit in Secretariat. The national inventory report consists of the national inventory report and tables of common reporting format and initial dates provided by governmental bodies, enterprises. Also, national inventory report consists information as the fifth energy economy sectors. It is energy sector, industrial processes, agriculture, LULUCF, it's some mistakes, I think, and sector of waste. It is our last national inventory report for the 2021. For the result of our inventory, we have emissions in the volume of 341 million tons CO2 equivalent. And the main sector of emissions, it is energy sector. Then it is agriculture sector, then industrial processes, and last places are LULUCF sector that emitted now, and waste sectors. It is our title of our last report, and this is last thing. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Eman. Yes, I used to say often these days that climate is changing, but the world is changing faster in some way, because there are a lot of things really that are completely different in a few years. I mentioned before that the level of awareness, commitment in Kazakhstan 2-3 years ago was not so important, and now we have low carbon strategy. And I'm very thanks, Ayman, because you showed the state of affairs, the complexity for the development of the inventory at the national level. But we also know that this is a starting point. This is the part in connection what is at the moment in the rules and the requirement of your country, but I'm sure that you will be an evolution in the next years. And for this reason, we decided to have one experience from Europe, one experience from Asia, New Zealand. Unfortunately, the colleagues of TCR in US is not available to be here, but we have the pleasure to try to share with you some other perspective in the voluntary area. So if we may go to my presentation, please. Is Pernigotti should be the name of the file. Maybe. Okay. Yes, I want to spend only a few words on the ISO package on MRV, monitor reporting verification. Then I want to underline in a slide the evolving European context, but only in connection with the point of the voluntary accounting. I will introduce the carbon footprint in Italy, that is the program operator operating in Italy for carbon footprint. And then I will introduce you the Carbon Footprint International Alliance. So we see a lot of standard for quantification, for carbon accounting, for carbon reduction, several bodies, several organizations issuing standard. But what we believe is that only ISO has a, what's happened? Okay, sharing the screen. No, the one on the left, that one, yes, thank you. Thank you. I need to go back. Okay. So only ISO has a full package of standard for all monitor reporting, verification, and accreditation even. So I'd like to introduce shortly this package. We have 14,064 part 1, that is a standard for the greenhouse gas inventory of organization. We call often a carbon footprint of organization. And is well known in terms of scope 1, scope 2, and scope 3. The ISO standard explode the scope 3 in more categories. So we have 6 categories instead of 3 scopes. Then we have a standard for the quantification of emission reduction or removal enhancement, so ISO 14064 Part 2. And this standard is the base for the generation of carbon credits, for example. And then we have for the quantification side, ISO 14067 carbon footprint of product. It means to calculate the impact of a product, take into consideration all the life cycle for the raw material to the end of life. So these three standards are quantification standard, counting standard, organization, project, and product. And then we have the part in connection. Next slide, please. Okay, thank you. The part in connection with the verification and accreditation. So we have a standard that is 14,064 Part 3. Sorry for the lot of number that I need to use, but it's part of the standardization. But this standard specifies the rules for the verifiers, what the verifiers has to do to check if the numbers are correct. Then there is a standard for the accreditation. ISO 14065 implies that one accreditation body will check how the verification body is operating, if it's operating in a sound way. And this is part of an international forum, international accreditation forum, that is fundamental to allow that the verification performed in Italy is accepted in New Zealand, accepted in Kazakhstan, is accepted in Germany or in other countries. Then we have another standard for the competence, management of competence of the teams. So you see, we have all different aspects that are needed to have a solid MRV system. And now we have a new standard that is ISO 14068 Part 1 for the carbon neutrality. It's the newcomers because it was published 9 days ago, the 30th of November. So we have now a new document available that is to complete the process, from the quantification to reduction, the offset, and then the carbon neutrality. So this is the full range of standards. And then so far we were in the voluntary area. I'd like to give you a couple of examples of the mandatory area. In the case of the European Commission, obviously I'm Italian, so I like to share my experience. And my experience that at the European level is growing the interest to have a reliable quantification. I give you 2 examples. The famous CBAM, the Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism. Everybody speaks about the CBAM. I understand because it's an important rules implying a border tax, a carbon tax on the border of the European Commission. And this quantification, this tax, this payment is based on the embedded carbon on the product. The product is missing the slide, sorry. So the embedded carbon in the products. So again, you need to have a reliable quantification. Then we have a new directive, the Green Claims, forbidding to use the claims carbon neutral without a scientific support. So it's not possible to say this product is carbon neutral only because I offset my emission. You need to have more. So these are 2 examples, only to show you that the international market is changing. New mandatory requirement is coming in the market, and then the voluntary area and the mandatory area need to speak together because they go in the same direction. And now I'd like to introduce our experience, the Italian experience, the Carbon Footprint Italy, that will be complemented later by the program in Korea and the program in New Zealand, because we are a program for the communication of carbon footprint. Because the communication is a second but important part of the game, because you need to quantify in a serious, a reliable way the carbon footprint of product, but then the company wants to quantify. And if you have a lot of self-declaration, you don't trust on the numbers. So for this reason, the program operator was created. And to be part of this registry, this program, company or products needs to have a third-party verification under accreditation. So you have more subject. You have a company quantify the emission, you have a verification body verifying the emission is correct, accreditation body checking the verification body is working correctly. All this level following ISO standard. to give the same rules at the international level. So we have 4 different labels, one for products, one for organization on the left side. You see the reference of the standard. And then you will see maybe later in the Korea and New Zealand experience, we have also other labels, because the company want not only quantify the emission, they want to show to the market if their product reduce the emission, because the purpose is not only the quantification, the purpose is to quantify for something else, for reduction first, and after that neutrality, if you are able to reduce the emission and then to offset the remaining part, the residual part. And so the program, you want to manage the communication in order to give a net value for the company in comparison with other companies not so committed on climate change. So each label is together with a QR code. And the QR code refers to a specific product passport, and this product passport lands to a specific page. So obviously now there is a lot of mess here because there was no space for all the information together in a fine way. But you may see that you have information on the company, on the contact person in the company, the verification statement on the left side, on the bottom, the description of the product, the PCR that you follow, which are the main characteristics, cradle to gate, cradle to grave, the result, the balance between upstream, core, and downstream, and the specific number. So in short, all the technical information that is needed, the giving substance to the carbon footprint is here. But obviously, it's not on the product, because it's not a way to communicate to the product. To the product, we have the label a QR code, but the QR code go here where you have a full set of information. And then I want to conclude, because we realized several years ago that each program was operated at the national level, but nobody knows the program out of the border, of the countries. And so we had this opportunity to sign the first memorandum of understanding on the climate registry, that is an important program operating in California and in West Canada. And then after this first MO, we have the opportunity at the Glasgow COP to extend the MO with the Programa País de Costa Rica, Toy to Environment Care in New Zealand, and later Thailand joined us, and later, was a few months ago, the Korean program IPEF was part of this network. And the purpose of the network is work always more in connection with the similar rules, consistent rules, because we want to give a guarantee to the Korean market that the product produced in Italy has a right, reliable number on the label, and vice versa. If Korea is producing electronic product, for example, want to come in the Italian market, giving serious information, then we join our experience together. So thank you for your attention. And now we give the floor to Johan Choi. I hope he's here for his presentation. Thank you. Johan?
Yeah, I'm
Johan,
ready.
you hear me?
Yeah. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. If you don't mind, please, my printing machine in front.
Wait, only a moment. Try to speak louder, or maybe if we increase the volume here. Try to speak again. Sound check.
Okay. I also raise my.
I think it's okay, no? Okay, now I think it's okay. Maybe they manage the volume. So do you like to share your screen? You prefer?
Okay, I will. Just for a moment.
Thank you even for the time, because I think that you are after dinner in this moment.
Yeah, it is 10:20 in Korea.
Very appreciated, Johan. Thank you.
I'm so sorry that I couldn't come to you there.
Okay, if you may put in the presentation mode, then it's done.
Okay, excuse me, I share it again. Do you see clear?
Do you reverse? I think we see the presentation version. If you may switch, probably you see full screen on your side.
How about this?
If it's possible.
Okay.
Not really. Otherwise,
Okay.
the previous one was okay in any case.
Let me set up my slide here. Okay. I need to set up the, okay.
You have to start presentation and then demonstration of a screen.
Okay, I need to change my main screen just for a moment.
Maybe we can show your presentation from our side.
Okay, if you don't mind, please.
Okay. Okay, if we may put in the full screen. Yes, that one. Okay, perfect. So, Johan, do you see your presentation on the screen, your side?
Yes, I could see.
Okay, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, I'm Dr. Yuan Choi. I'm from South Korea. I belong to Korea National Clean Production Center, and which is also belong to Korea Institute of Industrial Technology. And my organization is founded by Korean government. And I want to share with you regarding experience of international product environmental footprint. Actually, this scheme is started by 2013, and recently we faced a changing of international standards. So we are reacting. I mean, we are on transition period. Okay, please, next slide. Carbon footprint verification program in Korea. This international product environmental footprint owned by KNHPC and KITEC. We have 3 verification bodies so far, but there is a few more verification bodies now on the way to be accredited by Korea Laboratory Accreditation Scheme. So our program adopted carbon footprint quantification standard with ISO 14067 and the carbon footprint verification scheme standard ISO 14064 Part 3. And for verification body, we require ISO 14065, and for verifiers competency, we require ISO 14066. Okay, please, next slide. Next slide, please.
Is now. Maybe some delay. Do you see in your slide?
Okay, thank you. So this international productive environmental footprint, this program is related to environmental footprint verification program, which is approved by Korea Laboratory Accreditation Scheme. We call it KOLAS. And this KOLAS is a Korea governmental organization. And the KOLAS, Korea government also want to respond or react to international regulation on product environmental information, such as carbon footprint or water footprint. So they approve this scheme to react to respond to this kind of international regulation. This system, this scheme is to verify environmental information such as carbon footprint or water footprint of each product. and calculated in accordance with international standards and standard of major exporting countries or customer requirements. Verification bodies recognize the Korea Laboratory Accreditation Scheme, which is Korea Agency of Technology and Standard. This Korea Agency of Technology and Standard is government organization. So when a company need to respond to footprint-based trade regulation, in the case they could use this scheme. And actually, it is the location is limited to Korea. Actually, it is Korean scheme. However, we want this Korean scheme also recognized by another country. That's what we want to just Daniel mentioned that there is a mutual multilateral recognition, and our scheme is welcomed by a Korean export company, and because they want to respond to regulation and they want to meet customers' needs, and to do so, they need to third-party conformity assessment, which means verification, and to verify what they calculate environmental information, such as carbon footprint or water footprint, they find us. So they could obtain a verification from verification bodies, which verification body recognized by COLAS, and as well as IPF, which is my organization. Next slide, please. Okay, actually, this scheme started 2013. However, as we know, as Daniela mentioned, from 2020 to 2022, there was many changes in standards. For example, 14065 revised by 2020, and 14064 Part 3 also revised 2019 maybe. So it takes time to identically change into Korean national standard, and recently we've done. So nowadays we want to change all our system into internationally recognized level, and that's what we were. Okay, next slide, please. Before transition and after transition, there is some change. Korea KITEC is a scheme owner, and accreditation body was KITEC because there is no such program in COLAS. But after 14065 standard is I can say replaced, recasted. So COLAS adopted this program, I mean verification and validation program, so that COLAS adopt verification as a conformity assessment. So we hand over our role as an accreditation body to COLAS, and the verification body. Yeah, so far we have verification bodies, and nowadays we ask verification body to go for COLAS to receive IS 14065 accreditation, and they could come as a VBs. And the competency certifying body and verifier education body was KITEC, but nowadays we hand over to Korea Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and they are doing this competency certifying body and verifier education body. Okay, next slide, please. So in case of carbon footprint quantification, we use international standard, some other national standard as well. Actually, Korean national standard already identical with the international standard, which is ISO 14067. In case of water, ISO 14064. And some country, for example, UK has from BSI produced PAS 2050. And this is very well known all over the world. So we could provide this scheme as a quantification. And some of you recognize BPX 30-232, 323-X. This standard is made by Afner in France, and this standard also well known and from the market. So we could provide the verification on this kind of standard is applied quantification. Next slide, please. As Daniela mentioned, intentional, mutual, and multilateral recognition is very important. However, it is very difficult to make a mutual and multilateral recognition, but we need to come to the end step by step forward. Actually, we could see there is two different levels. The first level is conformity assessment. In this case, we know that each nation has only one accreditation body. So this accreditation body should make a multilateral, multilateral recognition arrangement. And based on this, each service provider, I mean, cover print scheme owners, we need to make another level of mutual or multilateral agreement. With this base, what I mean, each company obtain verification statements could be used to all different regional and areas. Okay, next, please. Here, we are trying to, on transition in IPF scheme, we are trying to enlarge previous verification bodies because so far we have only 3, but there is a much larger number of verification bodies want to be a verification body of IPF program. And there is so many verifiers who want to be as a verifier of this IPF program. So far, we have almost 20, but we need to expand from 20 to 200 because there is a very many requirement. As well as you see, Korea is exporting countries. So many products should go abroad, which means we need to develop a very many number of PCLs. That is what we focus on for now. Next slide, please. Okay, what kind of benefits expected? Yes, there is a lower cost and shorter period because actually there is, as you know, there is a domain carbon footprint scheme is out there, but it is very expensive. You could search by yourself, but we want to give it a more reasonable price for a company to obtain what they want to carbon footprint verification statements. And I want this kind of verification statement recognized by market internationally. And I want to my company, I mean my clients have satisfaction because our service provision is international level. So I think we could provide our client to have this kind of benefit. Next slide, please. Here is the case. Maybe you know Michelin and Bridgestone and many. I did not write on here, but there is many worldwide tire companies. Tire companies ask their supply chain so that they should provide their carbon footprint. In Korea, we have Hyosung company. Hyosung company is one of big company. They have their factory in Ulsan and Seoul, Ulsan, Korea, and maybe Jiaxing in China and Da Nang, Vietnam. So it is multinational enterprise. And the Hyosung has market share of 33%, 43% of tire cord. Tire cord is a part of tire, and you may know in the tire there is a wire, but Hyosung replaced the wire into this specialized how can I say, it is kind of textiles. So it is PET tire cords and nylon 66 lyocell and PE and tyrocol. They provide these kind of things. And when they faced this kind of Bridgestone, Michelin, Goodyear, or Kumho Tire, Hankook Tire, those kind of tire company wants carbon footprint, they come to us and we make them connect to Lloyd Register in Korea, because Lloyd Register is one of our verification body at the time. Right now they are not, but at the time they was. So you could see this statement. There is Korea, our logo, KITEC KNSPC logo. So they issued this carbon verification statement, and with this successfully meet the requirement of the tire company. And likewise, we providing semiconductor or purifier, water purifier, and those kind of products we also provide our program. Next slide, please. Okay, thank you. I briefly introduced Korea International Product Environmental Footprint Scheme, and I hope you could have similar with this, and I think or CFIA, I mean Carbon Footprint International Alliance, could help your countries or all the other information parties could help. Thank you very much. Daniele?
Thank you, Johan. Thank you, Johan. Thank you even for the time. I don't know if you may wait until 20 minutes for some question after the Belinda presentation. Could you stay?
I will.
Thank you so much. So thank you, Belinda. Belinda Matters, Chief Scientific Officer in Toitu. Thank you even because you jumped away from the meeting of the Minister of Environment, so it was very important. So very appreciated your availability to be here today. Thank you, Belinda.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for the opportunity to come and speak to you today. And I'm sorry that I was late to arrive, but as Daniele said, as of yesterday, a new meeting had come into my calendar with our incoming Minister for Climate Change. So I couldn't really miss that entirely, but was able to at least join for part of it. So I will talk to you for the next few minutes about who we are and what we do. Toitu is a New Zealand company, so possibly couldn't be much further from your part of the world in Central Asia, but I'm sure we're sharing some experiences. So we are wholly owned by a government research institute in New Zealand called Landcare Research, or the New Zealand Indigenous language, Te Reo Māori, the name for that is Manaaki Whenua. We're a certified B Corp. I don't know whether you know what B Corps are. It is something that's spreading around the world, but it's a social and environmental sort of broad certification for businesses that are an organisation called JASANS, which sits under the International Accreditation Forum. So the work that we do is accredited to be internationally recognised. We've also got some other connections into CDP and Science Based Targets Initiative, as well as some connections within New Zealand to our Sustainable Business Network and our Sustainable Business Council. We've got a partner in the UK that delivers some of our work from there. So we have been doing this work for 21 years. We started working in this space before the international standards were even written, really. So we were working based on the knowledge we had and helping to get involved with developing some of the standards as time went by. So we working with service providers, connecting with platforms that are helping organisations to measure their footprint. We provide guidance to our clients. We don't do the consultancy for the clients, though. We don't do the work for them, because then we wouldn't be able to audit it independently. But we really are all about enabling our clients to measure their emissions, reduce their emissions. If they choose to, they can offset them as well. So a little bit more information about our program and what the the purpose of it is here. So working out the impact of the business on the client. And what we're developing in addition to that is enabling organisations to work out the impact of the climate on them. So that it's a two-way street. You know, there's climate risks as climate change comes in. We're really seeing that there's supply chain risks, there's other risks, there's things that businesses need to deal with. So both those directions are dealt with in our programs. Thinking about what a science-aligned emissions reduction pathway might look like. Engagement, collaboration, positive advocacy rather than negative advocacy, potentially offsetting. So we're really about that broad range of needs that businesses have to be really climate-friendly organisations in the scheme of things. So we do have 3 logos, 3 carbon marks that we offer to our clients that successfully make it through our programs. Our Carbon Reduce program is about measuring impacts and committing to reduce them and actually achieving those commitments over time. The Net Carbon Zero certification goes one step further. They measure the same things. They have to have the same sort of reduction requirements, but they also would choose to offset their emissions using carbon credits in that sort of journey towards net zero that we're all aiming towards. And we've recently brought an extra step into the program, which is our climate positive certification. That's for the organisations that really want to be leaders, that really want to be you know, seen as doing everything that they possibly can to be both dealing with their own impacts, but also having a positive impact. And I'll talk a little bit more about what that means as well. So just summarising that here, if you've got Carbon Reduce, you've measured and managed and had those that work verified. So it is an annual process. We do expect organisations to go through a verification process every year. Net Carbon Zero, we've just added an offset step, and the climate positive, we've added some positive contribution to the wider society as well. And there's 2 elements to that at the moment. There's rather than offsetting 100% of your emissions, you're offsetting 125% of your operational emissions. But you're also putting some more investment equivalent to 75% of the value of those carbon credits. Could be buying more carbon credits, but more often it's other types of environmentally beneficial projects that organisations might, you know, connect with, that might seem right to them. So an example of that, one of our clients is a skincare company. They make skincare products. And one thing that they really wanted to do was to remove palm oil from their supply chain, but they were struggling to do that at that time. So what they did was put some investment support into an orangutan protection charity. So they felt like they were doing some beneficial things to counteract some of the things that they couldn't improve on. We also offer our Environmark program, which I won't talk about a lot, but I'll just touch on briefly. And that's an environmental management system program, which aligns with ISO 14001. And it's a 3-step program, so that organisations, if they're doing the bronze level, they're really just getting an understanding of what their environmental impacts might be. If they're in the gold level, then they've got some targets, then got a plan, they're putting some things in place, but they might not have things fully documented yet. Once they get to diamond, they've got the equivalent of a full 14001 aligned environmental management system. So probably 80% of our revenue comes from our carbon programs, but the Environmark program is beneficial as well. So just going into a bit more detail about the process for getting certified as an organisation. And I'll refer back to this diagram over the next few slides. So a client will sign up with us. We'll set them up on our platform if they're choosing to use our software platform. The first step is to measure their emissions, to gather the data, which is really hard in the first year, gets a bit easier over time. Work out why they're doing it, who the users of the inventory will be, so that they can work out from there what the boundary of their inventory needs to be. So that first step, it's really important, because if they choose quite a narrow boundary for their inventory, it might not be useful to all the people that might need to make decisions based on the inventory. They'll work out what their base year should be, that they'll be comparing against moving forward, and start collecting that data. And there's a reporting step in there as well. But we can't measure our way out of climate change. We say that quite often in our business. There's a lot of focus on measurement, but it's reducing our impacts that really makes the difference. So the reduction step is around working out what the low-hanging fruit, what the opportunities might be for the organisation, setting some targets, and the initiatives that go along with those, and reporting on those over time. So monitoring their progress and reducing their emissions. We have an audit step. This audit is generally done by us, but not always. Sometimes we can accept third-party audits, and that's really important, because everybody does their best. We don't think people are going out to do the wrong thing, but without that audit step, they don't necessarily have that confidence. Once they've had their inventory verified, then there's an offset step for the clients that want to go down the carbon neutral or climate positive step. We're really strict about which carbon credits we accept in our programs, because there's been so much in the media globally recently about, do carbon credits do what they say they're going to do? Are they all, are they acceptable? Are they high quality? Are they poor quality? So we want to make sure that the carbon credits used by our clients in our programs are really high quality ones, and that they're meeting the international best practice. So we've just 2 weeks ago made a public statement across New Zealand that we're only going to be accepting the ICVCM aligned carbon credits once they become available in the market. That's the Integrity Council for the Voluntary Carbon Market. So what we're trying to do is make sure that the claims that our clients can make when they get to this marketing step are really solid, that they can be relied upon, that if our clients are exporting into international markets, that they're not going to get claims of greenwashing and those sorts of things. So we do provide logos and certificates for clients to use. We put information about all our clients onto our website and their progress and their plans and those sorts of things. And then over time, we can be helping to check the claims they're making, make sure that they're making claims that are acceptable and true and have integrity in the market. We also have product offerings, so similar process, but for the first step in that process is to come up with a product specification, which is, I don't know whether you've talked about that at all, Daniela, but yeah, product specification is really about for a specific product type, what does the inventory, the footprint need to include? Because there's so many different products out there. A bottle of milk can't be compared with a television. So how do we, give some guidance around what's important to include in a particular footprint? And then there's a model step, and model gets developed for that footprint for that particular product. And then they go through the measure, manage, verify, and potentially offset step as well. So they're different, but they're similar, they're related. We have many organisations that will do both organisation and product. And one or a couple of organisations that I've been working with over the last few days, we've got a big meat exporter called Silver Fern Farms. We've got a big dairy cooperative in New Zealand, which is the largest dairy cooperative in the world, and they certify some of their products with us as well. So lots of logos on this one, just to give a bit of a sense of how we're expanding our programs over time. So we've got our carbon reduce options for products, for organisations. We've got a farm specific product or offering there. And we can do products in line with a couple of different standards depending on their needs as well. In the carbon zero space, likewise, we've got products, we've got services, organisations, farms, and we're just bringing in some building certification as well for organisations that want to be able to claim that their building construction or their building operation is carbon neutral. Events, so conferences, those sorts of things can be certified as well. And then we've got the climate positive offerings as well. So they're all similar programs, similar logos, but based on slightly different standards or delivered to slightly different markets or sectors of the market. So in terms of our achievements, what does this really mean? Does it actually make a difference? Are we just trying to measure our way out of climate change, or are we actually having an impact? So we've got 17.6 million tonnes of carbon dioxide in the inventories that we've verified over the last financial year, and over 250 million tonnes verified over the full time that we've been operating our programs. We've now got 96 staff. We've grown really quickly over the last few years. I've been working with Toitu for 12 years, and for probably the first maybe 7 or 8 years, we had about 25 staff, 25 to 30 staff, and we've just grown really quickly over the last few years, now up to close to 100 staff. I won't talk about all the stats on here. 238 organisations that are carbon zero certified, and in total nearly 600 certified organisations within our program. So it really is having an impact. It's helping organisations to reduce their emissions and really understand. It's also more and more helping organisations to inform their supply chains or their value chains. So where you might have a customer for the organisation that's wanting some detailed information, wanting to measure their value chain footprint, working with a program like ours or the others that have been talking today can help to provide that real level of quality and integrity for the inventory information that's being requested by the supply chain. Over 900 businesses now working with us globally, mostly in New Zealand, but we've got about 160 in the UK through a partner we have there, and a handful of clients all around the world. On average, our clients have reduced their emissions by 36% over the time that they've been with us, and over 4,400 greenhouse gas emissions inventories that we've certified over the years. So it's a lot of history. It's it's been quite a journey, but it's really valuable to our organisation and to New Zealand to have that opportunity to have something that's consistent, that's credible, that's high quality in the market for the claims that they want to make. So I think that's about it for me. Hopefully that's is complementary to what has been covered by others that I missed.
Thank you, Belinda. That was really interesting. And now I try to reconnect the dots from the starting of this side event, because the idea was to share with the Central Asia country, with Kazakhstan in particular, how far is the evolution in this moment at the international level. We started with the experience of Kazakhstan in the management of the national inventory. That is a mandatory requirement of the UNFCCC. And then we go through different national experience in this direction. So, and the idea was to stress the convincement that we are in the phase where everything changes change radically and very fast. So we meet every year, and every year we find some new situation, new evolution. Even your program is progressing a lot in the last period. For this reason, I think it's very important to share the experience with other countries. And now I'd like to have one question for each of you. I will start with Johan. Johan, I know that in the Korean markets, there was or there are a lot of different labels claiming for carbon neutrality. And this could create some confusion. You told us that in some way, this was one of the reasons that push you in the development of the program operator in Korea. May you share some reflection on these aspects?
Okay. Actually, this carbon footprint requirement so far since 2018, IS 14067 is replaced by Daniel, you lead ISTC 277 Working Group 8. And after then, we have revised, how can I say? Yes, amendment, revisement of IS 1464 Part 1 and 2 and 3. And in 2020, we have IS 14065, and recently we have IS 14068 Part 1. So this kind of international standard change recently happened. So maybe this kind of carbon footprint or water footprint or life cycle assessment based requirement started early 2010. So many Korean companies want to meet the bias requirement. However, in the market, there is like carbon trust or international EPD. Those kind of private program operator provide this kind of program. However, each program level does not equal to each other or similar each other. So for as you see, Korea is a very big export country. So we have so many companies to export to abroad, for definitely European country or to North America or US states. So they need very recognized worldwide, because if one program is only recognized in one area and the other program recognizes the other area, then they are selling their products only one, but they need to obtain very many similar certification or verification statement, which means cost a lot. They cannot accept. So they ask us to find a way. If one or very unique carbon footprint verification statement, and if it could be used all over the world, they will be so pleased. That's why we started this kind of scheme here. And nowadays, Korea government, because we started at the very first time, it is private. But nowadays, Korea Accreditation Board already approved our program. So if Korean exporting company want to obtain our program, they and the COLAS, I mean Korea Accreditation Board body, and my program could have mutual recognition within another country's accreditation body and the program level. This means when, for example, Samsung or Hyundai or any other SK, those kind of big companies exporting product could be used worldwide, more or less cost. That's why our program is trying to have a mutual recognition with each other. Okay, I'm not sure I got the point to your question. However, this is what the Korean situation. Thank you.
Thank you, Johan. And your program is owned or controlled by the government, as well as the toy tool that is, I don't know if it's directly, but under control, let me say, of the government. So, Belinda, I would like to ask you, how is the relation between the mandatory area the mandatory requirement for accounting and the voluntary area?
Now, can you hear me? It is an area that's developed a lot just over the last couple of years. We've just now in our first measurement period for the top New Zealand listed companies, publicly or privately owned companies on the share market, to be reporting their climate risks, their emissions in line with the Task Force for Climate Related Financial Disclosures. So it's been a real shift for us, trying to be working in both spaces. Most of our clients are still working in the voluntary space. They're doing it because their customers want them to, or because they think it's the right thing to do. Whereas we've got some businesses now being mandated to do that. So it's changed some of the rules. It means that we're trying to work with two sets of rules with the same inventory and the same businesses, which can be a bit challenging, but we've been quite involved in the development of some of those rules as we've gone through. So that's helped us.
Yes, connection overlapping or converging in similar
That's
direction.
right. And that's been really important because it's been the financial accounting companies that really want to be having all of this space, but they don't necessarily have all the skills in the background in carbon that we do.
Thank you, Belinda. And the final question go to Ayman, that was the first speaker, because you had the opportunity to see 3 different experiences, in Italy, in Korea, and New Zealand, looking from the perspective of a country that at the moment is working mainly on the mandatory area, because there is not so many space on the voluntary at the moment. So do you see the possibility in the next next few years, that this kind of approach will be developed, or do you see very far at the moment the possibility to have a program operator in Kazakhstan?
Thank you, Daniel. We also have emission trading system, and in Kazakhstan it is also mandatory system, but our organizations which include in the ETS, they assess their emissions through the standards, and also we have verification bodies, and I think, but now we discuss about voluntary market through the mechanisms in the frame of Article 6 of Paris Agreement, and our organizations also need to solve some issues with the implementation of transition carbon
Plan?
CBAM.
The carbon border adjustment mechanism.
Our many organizations are export their production, and I think that assess of carbon print, it is a shift issue for the those organizations.
Yeah. Yes. So I try to conclude to this side event, and as mentioned at the beginning, I had the experience to perform a training 3 years ago in Kazakhstan and in this year, and I noted a completely different approach in the companies, in the verification bodies. Now you have the low carbon strategy that was something far away 3 years ago, was really seems to be impossible. And today we have a side event with very low participation, but I'm thinking, I hope, but I think that in a couple of years we will have a different condition here, because the COP is also a place of investment of knowledge and sharing of knowledge. And is the opportunity to allow other countries to understand what is moving around the world. So really, I thank you for your availability, your interest, your participation, and thank you, Belinda and Johan, for that is very late in the night in this moment. And really, I hope that in the next COP in Azerbaijan, we will have the opportunity to see some step forward for Kazakhstan in this direction. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Belinda. It was my pleasure to have your presentation. And Daniela, see you.
Bye bye, Johan. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao.